This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Penn, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shannon Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fan, the Preacher Man.
Welcome to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man. Thank you for joining us tonight. I tell you, we're going to have a great program. As always, there's going to be a lot of fire things. Don't turn. I know our program sometimes get a little lengthy, but there's a lot of great information. And tonight, we have Miss C. You'll have a voice. Her video is not working tonight. But anyway, Miss C will be with us tonight. Shannon is back. And don't you touch that dial. Don't you leave us. Subscribe, like, share, make comments. Want to be on the program, go to Straight Talk News 1362@gmail.com. Thank you for all your comments that you give to us, letting us know you're watching the program and you agree with many of the positions that we're taking. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll see you back on the other side with Shannon, Ron, and myself after Miss C. Miss C, welcome back.
With them each Sunday at 10 a.m. Sunday Atlanta welcomes you to worship with them. Hi. Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast or more or less. Hey, Bishop Greg. Hey, Pastor Shannon. Hope you all are doing well. Listen, the 18th Appreciation Service honoring Apostle Danita Harden Jones will be held October 26th at In His Great Name Worship Center, 81 Dodge Street in Fairburn, Georgia. Guest speakers include Elder Judy Menninger at 10:30 a.m. and bringing the word at 2 p.m. is Bishop Marshall Marby III. Call 770-964-4729 or go online to www.ihgnwc.org to get more details. And listen, Pastor Shannon Jones and the Gathering Church invites you to worship with them each Sunday at 11 a.m. The Gathering is located at 3707 Main Street in College Park. You can check them out on the website at www.thegatheringatl.org. That's thegatheringatl.org. They also stream their services live on their website, or you can get in touch with them by calling 443-312-9015. And Liberty International Church at 1362 Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta welcomes you to worship with them each Sunday at 10 a.m. Sunday school begins at 9 a.m. And guess what? Our own Bishop Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, is the overseer. Now listen, there's 4 things I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to subscribe. I'd like for you to like us and leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. And 4, I'd like for you to share us. Let everybody know what you know. We are Straight Talk News. And if you'd like for us to announce your event, just email it to us at 1362 Metropolitan Parkway in Southwest Atlanta. I'm sorry. If you want us to announce your event, email it to us at straighttalknews1362@gmail.com. Straight Talk News 1362@gmail.com. And listen, in the meantime and in between time, we're going to see you next time, okay? Have a great one. Bye.
He's back. He is back. He's back, and I mean back. Back, all the way back from vacation, all the way back from honeymoon, all the way back from back to back. And we're glad to have you back. We got Miss C back. Miss C coming back tonight. We got Ron here. The Daniel Boone, the new Daniel Boone out in the wilderness, hunting rabbits and cooking rabbits and all that.
That's right.
Around the world.
That's right.
We got everybody back. And I'm here. I'm the only somebody that's still here. They leave me, y'all. They leave me. Hey, y'all, listen. The program tonight, we got to talk about Marjorie Greene. and we got to talk about it. You know, there's so much stuff to unpack. You know what's going on this weekend. You know, we got the No King rally. We'll be in East Point with a No King rally. I'll be speaking. Others will be speaking there in East Point and No King rally. Hey, listen, the people wanted a king, Samuel. They wanted a king. They wanted a king, and they got a king. And when they got that king, then they didn't want no king. But it was too late. They got a king. But we don't want a king. And we'll be talking about that, and we'll be protesting all over the country on No King Day. We do not want a king. We do not want to destroy democracy. We like the way things were, and look like it's going to take a whole lot to get it back. But Marjorie tell a lie. Your girl, Shannon, your girl. Marjorie tell a lie. Is she lying now? Or is she telling the truth? Or is she creating a new party called the damn Republican Party? You'll change the name. I'm trying to come up with an acronym for the new party with Democrats and Republicans. She look like she's trying to mix the Democrats and Republicans, trying to tear away. I don't know if she's trying to tear away Shannon or whether or not she is trying to keep her seat. What do you think, Shannon? What do you think? What do you think?
I think I'm back and I can see you and I can talk to you, but I can't hear you. So I'm listening real close because I think the enemy has gotten on our line trying to stop our straight talk. But I did hear you coming in on No More Kings. And were we there?
Yeah, we well, Ron, tell him what I said, Ron. Just that Ron can tell you what I said. Tell him what I said, Ron. Tell him.
Well, Bishop wants you to consider the role of Marjorie Taylor Greene, or as he calls it, Marjorie Tell a Lie. Is she about to establish? Yeah, is she establishing a new political party with the Republicans and the Democrats coming together? So, what's your thoughts on the role she plays?
Taylor Greene wants to be a United States Senator, and so it's always political first. And that's what she is thinking about. And she wants to be able to do that and bring MAGA along, but she also wants to reach out to a broader coalition. She's going to need that and enable to run statewide. And so she's thinking about that, and she's trying to turn over a new leaf on this issue and on some others. Listen, a broke clock is right twice a day. And I think that on this issue, as you know, Bishop Fan and several of us many years ago came together to feed all of these federal workers, furloughed federal workers. So you know, this is we're looking at just a huge crisis, the shutdown of this government, and the skyrocketing of healthcare is going to be a gigantic headache for Trump's base, for Marjorie Taylor Greene's base, and for obviously for those who are not in those factions as well. I mean, many of us will be affected by that. The whole world will be affected by this big, beautiful bill. And what I would say, Bishop and Ron, to Marjorie Taylor Greene, is when we say elections have consequences, that doesn't just go one way. Elections have consequences for everybody. And so she is now talking about her children and her family and her friends and whatnot. So what has happened is the Trump train has stopped in her town, and it's done what it's doing all over the world. It's doing it to her. But I do believe that she's using this as an issue to gain a larger platform to prepare for a statewide Senate race.
Ron, what say ye?
The Marjorie Taylor Greene question is a very interesting question of legitimacy and authenticity, and will we continue to allow the white nationalist brain to set itself up like a chameleon and change its colors at a moment's notice? When I was listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier this week, when she was speaking with the survivors of the Epstein fracas this institutionalized ring of pedophiles at the highest level, it's very interesting that she gets to play the role of now a progressive leader. Hearing her talk about this is Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about there existed in this country two Americas. An America in which the rich and powerful consistently do what they please, flout the law, and get away with it scot-free, whereas everyday rank and file Americans are subject to the law and receive the penalties of breaking the law, often at exaggerated rates if you are, depending on which groups you are in America. But that's a very convenient way for her to characterize her own hypocrisy, as when every other issue outside of this Epstein issue, she has denied the reality of the two Americas. She has denied the fact that rich and powerful members of Congress, corporate elites, corporate donors are absolutely getting away scot-free with the felonies that they are committing, that we have absolutely allowed many criminals to hide behind their privilege of government work, of corporate influence, of political power and prestige. And she was a major proponent of that. When she was expanding the powers of the executive in her first, 5-6 years in office, so that this MAGA train could come in and usher in this era of authoritarianism, she refused to listen to black women who were talking about the two Americas as they were facing discrimination. She refused to listen to SNAP beneficiaries who now are threatened to have their benefits cut by the 1st of November because the government is still shut down. And so whereas she has taken this weird stance of common sense, and I say weird for her because her voting record shows that she's on the side of totalitarianism. Her voting record shows that she's on the side of the 1%. And so, whether or not she has solidarity with these women because of the issues women go through in terms of sexual abuse, child abuse, which is admirable in its own right. But the rights of women are connected to the rights of children, to the rights of the elderly, to the rights of workers, to the rights of African Americans, to the rights of immigrants. And so you're going to have a very difficult time, Marjorie Taylor Greene, advocating for children, advocating for women, if you refuse to support a raise in the minimum wage, if you refuse to decrease the gluttonous defense budget, if you refuse to stand up against the Pentagon, who deadline for media agencies to sign their ridiculous pledge that they will only report on information that the Pentagon has deemed acceptable. And thankfully in this country, all media sources, the major ones at least, refuse to sign that pledge. But we have to call out Marjorie Taylor Greene for being a strong example of how white nationalists and white supremacists, Christian nationalists, they seem to want to play both sides of the fence when they finally hit on an issue in which they're in a political minority, in which the privilege and the power of this nation is coming down against her vested interests. So when she sounds like W.B. Du Bois and the double consciousness, talking about two sides of America fighting and warring with each other, that gives me a great moment of pause. Because if we were, with the representative from Arizona signing the discharge petition as the as the 218 signature, and the Epstein, the releasing of those files are then verified and released, then what is going to be her next move after that? Will she go back to the MAGA camp? Because there are a lot of black women, Asian women, and other women who need to have their voices heard. Black women especially have been victims of sexual assault by police, federal government agents, and black women have been talking about this duality of how their sexuality has been used against them. I mean, we currently have over 50,000 missing black women in this country alone. And when we talk about and centralize the Epstein survivors, their stories is only a thin sliver of the amount of women and women's stories and the stories of girls and children as victimized groups that we need to honor and understand. So it's going to be very difficult for us to believe that we're going to solve child sex trafficking, that we're going to solve institutionalized rape of young girls and young ladies by powerful men if we only deal with the Epstein issue. The Epstein issue is the tip of the iceberg of a larger paradigm of sexual exploitation, child exploitation that we have to uproot. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to do a better job. They just champion these few, even though these women's voices are important, and these women's stories are a central vehicle for us to understand what is happening. But the story is much larger than that. And if Marjorie Taylor Greene lends her voice to the larger story of sexual abuse, sexual violence, and sexual conquest that particularly black women, native women, Hispanic women have suffered in this country, then I can give her greater legitimacy. But right now, I just think she's more of a mole planted in this movement of releasing the Epstein files by the Trump administration, in which she's going to feign publicly that she's with Ro Kemp and the other Democrats who are advancing this issue. But behind the scenes, she could easily be filtering information back to her MAGA millions, back to the Trump administration, because a leopard doesn't change their spots. They just don't.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you, Shannon. Let me just say this about Marjorie Taylor Greene. When I listen to her, I've seen her on several different podcasts giving interviews. I saw her on several different stations giving interviews. And every one of the interviews, when they talked about the Epstein file and her looking into it and standing up for it, every time she talks about the ladies, this is what she said. None of them said Donald Trump is in it. None of them said Donald Trump. To your point in terms of being the mole, is that she's giving him covering by saying that these ladies are saying he's not in the file. The ladies are saying there's no evidence. Now, we haven't heard from the lady. We've heard from her, but that's what she's saying. So, to your point, I don't believe that her issue is genuine. I do believe her issue is genuine when it comes to insurance. I think that because of her kids, her family, her constituents who feeling this. I found out today through a mutual friend, who shared with me that Northside Hospital, which is one of the largest hospitals in our area, has laid off employees because of the cuts in Medicaid, not Medicare, because they've cut and they have had to lay off staff because they're losing funding already. One of the largest hospitals in our region laying off staff now, and this is how they're doing it. They're giving people who are senior people who've been there a while, they're doing early out. They're buying them out to leave early because they see what's coming down the road. They know that they won't have the money to be able to meet the healthcare needs of the people. So they're cutting their losses now. So when we talk about healthcare and the things that she's talking about, it's for selfish reasons. Because let's be clear, and I know that both of you all know this and many people listening, Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of those who still getting their check, doing this shutdown, they still getting their money, they still getting paid, they still can go to the doctor, go to Bethesda and all these places, and still see a doctor, still get their medicine, and their family will be too. They can steal, but they're part of their policy. Come on now. We got to peel back the onion, you know? All of this is, Bobo and them up there in her district can't go to Bethesda, right? They can't, but she can, her kids can. They can still have that health care and still be treated. Somebody said, well, they too old to be treated. Let me tell you something. You don't know with what kind of benefits or real benefit package they have. You don't know. You only know that we've been told. But the reality of it is, look at where the position she's in. And Shannon, you're right, because if you look at it, if she now she don't want to be the governor of Georgia. No, she wants to be the senator of Georgia, so she can have a 6-year term and keep her benefits, which will include benefits for her and her family and opportunities for better things for her and her family. So let's just be clear. And I agree to Ron, because I'm looking at her and what she's saying. But when she said that specifically that Donald Trump, none of the ladies she's talked to that was a part of the Epstein case, none of them said Donald Trump had anything to do with it. None of them. Now, I find that hard to believe myself. I do.
There's two ways I want to look at that, Vic.
Okay.
Yeah, two ways I want to look at that. But at the same time, I do agree it is not the job of these survivors to be name dropping the high profile pedophiles and sexual perverts that are captured in the Epstein's file. That's the job of government. So I do agree with the ladies there that we want so bad for these ladies, because they experience the abuse with these individuals, to be the ones who go on and name all the names. But that absolves the government, the FBI, our law enforcement officials whose budgets have been going up instrumentally over the last 30 years. Make them do their jobs. I do agree with that aspect of it. But at the same time, accountability is a major issue in this so-called democracy, and finding ways to hold powerful individuals accountable for the crimes that they committed. Nixon was given a complete pardon for the crimes he committed in Watergate. Even though Bill Clinton was impeached, I mean, what were the actual consequences? He was still a 2-term president. He's still in line and has been receiving all the privileges and advantages that goes with the title and position that he held. Trump was impeached twice, acquitted of both of those charges. So we have a real issue with providing strong accountability to high-profile offenders. And at some point, we need to see the rubber meet the road, in which these people, of which it's hard to believe Donald Trump could be absolved from any of these crimes, given a relationship that he's had not only with Jeffrey Epstein, but with the cohort of individuals that created the Epstein regime. So Trump is certainly at the center of this. Is exactly why Mike Johnson refuses to swear in Representative Grijalva from Arizona, preventing her from signing the discharge petition to get those Epstein files released. So finding a way to convict these high-profile assailants, criminals, and perverts, that is job one if this government wants legitimacy.
All right, Shannon.
No, I absolutely agree with Ron and with you, Bishop. Reverend Jackson always says this, and I took it as my own. He said, if the playing field is level, and if the rules are clear, and if the ref is fair, and the goal is set, then we can win. But when any of those variables are not in place or are altered in any way, then it presents us with a challenge. And the challenge of the elite and the powerful is that they have the ability to interpret. And I think nothing draws Ron's point home closer than this administration. It made a former vice president and opponent, political opponent of President Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris, say the other day she could not articulate with all of her vast education and with her global mindset and with all of her leadership abilities. She had to bring it down to a street level and say these MFs are crazy. And ultimately, excuse me, as you look at the goalposts moving every day of this administration, as you see the shifting of the playing field of this administration, as you see the Kavanaughs and the referees, the judges interpreting, as you see the United States Attorney General Pamela Pom Pom Bondi, and I mean no disrespect, I'm not saying that at all to be misogynistic, but she went to the Capitol as the #1 cheerleader of the president. And it was as though she needed a varsity sweater on and some pom-poms in her hand. She was completely different from a Janet Reno. Completely different from a long line of attorneys generals who are, contrary to the president's understanding, who is the top cop. The president seemed to say yesterday that he was really, the top cop. You are not the top cop. But when you insert privilege, when you use a 911 page or 908 page or how many pages that document was entitled Project 2025, when you're using all of that and you can shift the ground, change the playing field, change the rules, and the refs allow you to do it because in the protection of Trump is doing what he's doing for his own machinations and reasons. Trump is not MAGA. Trump is not Republican. Trump is not Democratic. Trump is not American. Trump is Trump. And he has a global mindset that's led by a narcissistic sociopath that will do whatever he can do to gain whatever he can gain. And so it's absolutely, and that's why he does what he wants to do, whether it's in the Republican interest, whether it's in MAGA's interest, whether it's in the United States interest. Trump does what Trump wants to do. The people who are propping him up are fighting for white privilege, white survival. They're watching the browning of America. They're trying to get rid of 10 million with an M, 10 million immigrants that are in this city, in this country, legally or illegally, because they're trying to stop the browning of America. And they're in the cities doing it in Chicago because what they really want to do is end birthright, and they're trying to send black folk to Africa too, or to whatever S-hole nation they determine that they want us to go. But this is a fight for survival. Trump is using this. He's using this movement. He's using toothless white folk in across America. He's using white racists. He's using the Republican base. He's using all of this for his own personal aggrandizement. And at the end of the day, they're going to find out that he was no more connected to them than anything else. He does not bleed red. He bleeds Trump. And he is corrupt at the core and has been corrupt his whole life. And he cannot, as true to a narcissist, they need confusion to be able to operate. He needs confusion, but he needs corrupt confusion to be able to operate. And that's what he's bringing to this nation. And that's what Trump is doing and it's a microcosm of a macro that really says that white privilege and white supremacy is getting ready to create new game rules in order to survive.
Well, Shannon, if the Supreme Court dealing with voters' rights, right? And they're looking at how now they can change areas where blacks or in certain areas where you cut out so a black could be elected to Congress, black could be elected to the Senate, and and those kinds of things. They're looking at that. They're looking at that. They're looking at that. But why are they looking at that? Well, we're back to Reconstruction. We had blacks in office then. Blacks were taken out of office. You have, and you're absolutely right. You have a person who's in the White House who is, and if you look at how he has taken the White House and made gold all over the White House, gold, gold, gold. That's what he's been going to these other countries, and that's what he's seeing in their palace or in their places where they are the presidents or the kings of, and he is doing it, and he's bringing it into the White House because that makes him feel good, because that's what he brags about, his gold, this, his gold, this, his gold, this. But even if people was really, really serious and looking at, and those who you talk about, those who are being used by him, like Charlie Kirk and some others who are being used by him so that he can get what he wants to get, and only what he wants to get, like the Gaza Strip that he wants to get. He said, see, people stop, they don't listen to Trump. He said he wanted to build him a hotel on the Gaza Strip. He said that, right? His goal is for what in it for him. He could care less about anybody else. Look at all the hotels and stuff. What the country now that has given him that plane, who now Hexback talking about building an airport for them to put their planes in Idaho, for foreigners to have an airport in our country with their planes. Come on, y'all. He's had Putin to come over here and look at America and look at where we're vulnerable at and make plans. Already have octopus here anyway, right? So we got to look at it, but it's all about what benefits him and his children, excuse me, and his family and his legacy. What will be his legacy? Will Don Jr. be the next emperor? Will Don Jr. be the next king of the United States? Will Brandon be the next king of the United States? But you got to see how he's bringing his son up. They're talking more about his son, more about his baby boy, more about his baby boy. Listen, I think people need to open up their eyes to really see what's really going on. And you made a very valid point, because he doesn't care about Republicans. He doesn't care about Republicans or Democrats. He doesn't care about women. He said he'll do what he do to women in the street, and people said he'll shoot somebody down in the street and he won't go to jail for it. He said all these things. He said all of these things, and he's doing it. He is doing it. He has polarized the court system. And you and I talked about it years ago when we talked about when they wouldn't replace people on the appellate courts on the lower level, and how they did not allow Obama to appoint to the Supreme Court, held him up, right? So I mean, all these things were in the work, and all these things are being controlled by him, and those people who are part of the Heritage Foundation, and they're gonna find out after a while, the people who have funded the Heritage Foundation, the money they put in, he ain't studying them, because once he get the control, he has got the control of everything and everybody. You can't, what they call it, there's no turning back. There's no turning back, no going back. Once you're with him, you got to keep going forward. You can't go back. Because if you go back, who all going to jail? People who were with him. What's his name? Cohen, his lawyer. He tried to go back. You can't go back. You can't go back. You go forward. You can't go back. You stick with me, or you going to jail. You stick with me, off with your head. You can't go back. So that's what I said about Marjorie Greene. I'm going to repeat what I said is, she's saying those things because she knows how he operates. That's why she's saying he is not in the file, and nobody said that they seen him do anything, because she knows how dangerous he is, because he done told her what he's going to do to her if she keep on doing what she's doing. So she got to walk that line. She's got to walk that line, because there ain't no coming back. If he said brothers, if he said a man who was loyal to him to a fault, loyal to him the whole time he was his vice president, loyal to him because he couldn't do one thing that he knew that was wrong. You know what I'm talking about? Mike Pence couldn't do one thing that he knew that was wrong. He couldn't support it. And then he say,
certified the votes.
hanging. I mean, you got to understand, you were right. You were absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Well, Bishop, let me just add this too. Let me add this. He don't care about Don or Ivanka or Eric either. He doesn't care about. See, you got to understand the mindset of a very toxic narcissist. It literally, this man only cares about this man. He doesn't care about Barron. He doesn't care about his wife. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he'll step over all of them to get what he wants, to do what he wants to do, to stay in the limelight, to stay relevant. And that's why the other day, he didn't say J.D. Vance he thinks is going to be his successor. He said that Marco Rubio could be his successor. So here it is. Vance better open his eyes, because as your point is correct, he was on January the 6th of 2021, he was going to literally allow them to kill the vice president. He didn't call out as much as the Boy Scouts to get down with the help, let alone the National Guard or anybody. He sat in his office and watched all of that go down. Okay? And so, but you don't see him advancing. You don't see him advancing Eric. You don't see him advancing Don. All of them, they're all, there was a TV show called, what was it, Successful? What was the name of the show? But all these kids were trying to be their father's replacement. He was a big magnate. I can't think of the word started with an S. It'll come to me. But all of them were auditioning. Succession. And none of them, the father played all of them against the middle. He played them all against the middle because it was all about him. And so they are auditioning. Everybody auditioned for King Trump. Okay? Everybody auditions for him. But he auditions for nobody. He has loyalty to nobody. He cares about nobody. And that is the man that's sitting in the White House with a nuclear football following him, 10 steps behind him everywhere he goes. That is the man that's over the country right now.
And my biggest concern, to follow right back up and piggyback off what you said, Shannon, why does that play so well in America? Why do we have so many cultural elites, middle-class managers, parents, officers, people in this country who are sworn to uphold the rule of law, but they have completely transitioned seamlessly to a strong man who will turn on you at a moment's notice. There is no such thing as loyalty in the Trump administration. Everybody he's gone after administratively with his subpoenas, with his indictments, these have been lifelong Republicans. These are not freedom fighters. These are not people who are on the front line of immigration rights. These are not people who are, expanding the rights and privileges of welfare to give lower class and lower income Americans a leg up. These have been lifelong conservatives who have voted for tax cuts for the wealthy their entire political careers. They were with Reagan with deregulation in the 1980s and the expansion of the defense budget. And so the issue with them becoming so-called political enemies of Donald Trump is by virtue of them failing to go as far as Trump wanted them to go. Not that they all of a sudden made an about face and began to support multiculturalism. None of them did. Come's not supporting multiculturalism. Boulder's not supporting multiculturalism or the Big Tent ideology that brings so many people from so many different backgrounds together and form this unique experiment called the American democracy. These have been hardline Republicans, hardline under Bush, hardline under Reagan, hardline. This is where their political lineage brought them through to Trump. It's just that Trump, through his own personality and his own greed, has taken the next logical step, because the only next wave that Republicanism had to go, after we look at the trajectory of George H.W. Bush and then George W. Bush, was totalitarianism. I mean, the Patriot Act, when it passed in 2002, was the most authoritarian piece of legislation we had ever heard in this country at that time. And so the Republicans have been on the totalitarian binge for the last 50 or 60 years. And now we have been moved, because the political correct movement in the post-civil rights era was all about a facade. As long as we had a couple of black people smiling and looking and shining on brochures, had a couple of TV shows, we were able to throw up a Michael Jordan or Oprah Winfrey as an African American who can gain some socioeconomic stability, then we wanted to say the system was working. With, in actuality, the seeds of this top 1% nihilism were being planted in the 70s, 80s, 90s, when the lack of manufacturing jobs failed to recycle to Generation X and a millennial generation. And we now are bouncing around from position to position in our careers. My uncle says all the time, my uncle, my dad's brother, he was so confused why many of us were going to college, grad school 3 and 4 terms to get 3 and 4 degrees. When he said, I was able to graduate high school, work for the city. I worked for the city for 45 years. I bought my home. I retired. Why are you all not doing that? And we said, Uncle, those jobs don't exist anymore. You all got all the city jobs. You all got all the manufacturing jobs. You all are not giving those jobs up, are you, Uncle? You didn't give up your city job to a millennial in 1985 or 1995 to usher in a new generation of homeowners. You all kept your positions as you should have, because this economic system is so fickle if you are an everyday American. I said it last week, and it needs to be re-emphasized this week. The top 1% and our federal government officials do not live under the system that we live under. The federal government, even though they shut down their own jobs, they refuse to work on their own accord, but they're still getting paid 100% of their salary. They still have government-sponsored health care on the taxpayers' dime. They're not paying for their own health care. So while we are fighting and scrimping and scraping, I said it last week and it needs to be emphasized again. For every American who got up and went to work today, for every American who had to drive your car and you had to spend your money to fill up your gas, you had to buy your clothes to be professionally acceptable in your profession, the taxes that your state and federal government are taking from your labor have put these soldiers on the streets to be shooting rubber bullets at priests, to be beating up citizens. I mean, over 170 Americans have been detained already during these ICE protests. Yes, again, we always want to say the citizens need to go out and protest, and we do. But the federal government has the initial right of passage to arrest us, to detain us if we go out there, to do anything that they want to do against us, to discourage and dissuade us from keeping this protest. And what institutions do we have at our backs? The Black Panthers, as a political action group in the black community, provided payday lawyers for black community members who were accosted and wrongfully detained by the police in the 1960s. The Black Panther Party provided free breakfast programs so black children could go to an institution in their community and get something to eat before they go to school. The Black Panther Party provided medical assistance and everyday medical doctors who could tend to your wounds if the police bust you upside the head or break your arms when they are shackling you behind your back in those handcuffs. So we keep wanting to turn everyday American citizens into Lone Ranger political heroes in which we going out into the street butt naked with our courage and our faith, facing armed officers. The federal government is armed to the teeth. Armed to the teeth. They got more bullets. They got more protection, more barriers on their person than any other group in this world. And we want to say that us going out carrying some slogans and dressing up in a dinosaur costume, and writing some catchy little slogan in some sidewalk chalk on for 4 hours on Saturday, that's going to change the institutional being that this country has been on for the last 60 years. I think we have to get a little bit more realistic about how oppression and authoritarianism has been institutionalized through organizations that have consolidated, condensed their power, as we see media conglomerates continue to consolidate, as we see corporate conglomerates continue to consolidate, and they are concentrating power, institutional power, in fewer and fewer hands. And our only response is some blind, massive outreach program in which we're on the streets hollering, but where are the institutions that we're going to create that are going to provide us with food, that are going to provide us with paving our roads and our streets and improving our bridges and levees? Because the federal government is opting out of their duty to do that. They've been shut down for now 3 weeks. This is day 17. So if the government has abdicated itself of its duty because the Republicans are seeking to destroy healthcare in this nation, that's the reason for the shutdown. Because the Republicans do not want to extend ACA, Affordable Care Act subsidies. They do not want to extend Medicare and Medicaid. And they will punish American citizens in need of health care, in need of food assistance, in need of rent assistance, to continue to shovel billions of dollars to billionaires. And the Democrat Party and other oppositional parties are still doing a woeful job of explaining to Americans that you are participating in your own oppression.
Ron,
and Ron, if I could just, Bishop, I know you're about to cut up. If I could just say one thing about what Ron just said.
Go.
Yeah, just one thing quickly. Frank Casper did a movie in the 1940s. Mr. Smith goes to Washington. And Mr. Smith went to Washington as a man of the people. But what we are seeing today is that Mr. Smith has gone to Washington, got rich, worked for billionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires, and Mr. Smith has left there and gone to Dubai. Okay? Your uncle could work for 45 years with a high school degree because he worked for a government that was of the people, that was for the people, of the people, by the people. This government today is for the rich 1%. That's how they can continue to pay themselves. None of them are saying, none of them. I haven't heard anybody say yet, I will not accept health care. I will not accept my paycheck. I'm giving my paycheck to this crisis fund. I'm giving my paycheck to some organization that's excuse me, I haven't heard one of them say that yet. So that's the serious thing. But we have to be careful because you have the multi-millionaire and billionaire class that are learning how to placate to us, but they don't know our day-to-day struggle. They don't know the struggle. And even within the Democratic Party, that's why I'm suspicious of a Mondani in New York. He's a trust fund baby. He's a multi-millionaire. And he's been in the country 7 years. I'm suspicious of a role coming into Atlanta, saying he wants to run for city. He wants to run for city council president because he's a wealthy guy. And I'm not knocking wealth. That's the American dream. But when you don't understand the struggle of marginalized people, when you don't know the struggle of day-to-day people, and you can only give lip service to it, but you don't know how much it costs for them to eat. You don't know the struggle that they go to, And when you build a government on that, then you have a double consciousness in America, whereas you have the people who are suffering, and you have those who are taking care of their own personal aggrandizement. They need the people for votes, but they serve their donors. And that's the problem we're having. Marjorie Taylor Greene is playing that same game, and that's what's going on. And that's what we have to continue to fight in these days going forward.
Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I'm gonna wrap it up by saying a couple of things, and I'm gonna come to the scripture. When you have a president that gives $1 billion, $20 billion to Venezuela government, who has squandered money and have not been prudent with the money that's been given by other governments, but you have people over here, you can send their money to a country that is not prudent.
To Argentina, not Venezuela, Argentina.
But they could send that money there. $20 billion.
$20,000 million.
So you're talking about sending money over there, but you want to cut health care for people here. Take their money away from them and send it to someplace else. Listen, guys, we have to wake up and smell the coffee, because we have our monies that they take out our check every week, every 2 weeks, every month. They take our money, and then they're taking our monies and they're giving it to other people to benefit them, but they're giving to them and taking from us and causing us to take care of other people. I learned this as a child. My mother and father taught us this lesson. Said, take care of your house before you take care of somebody else's. How can you take care of somebody else's house when you can't take care of your own? Right? Common sense, isn't it? It's common sense. You would rather that your house burn down while you keeping somebody else's house from burning down. So it's something behind that. The reason you don't want their house to burn down, but you want your house to burn down, right? You rather do. But somewhere I read in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, the 25th chapter, when Jesus declared, he said to them, I was hungry, you didn't feed me. I was naked, you didn't clothe me. I was in jail, and you didn't visit me. And they said, Lord, when did we do this to you? He said, when you did it unto the least of them, you've done it also unto me. And for that you shall see that lake of fire. See, I think people, we're preachers, I think people forget that. I think people who get in politics, who say that they are Christians, say that they believe in the Lord, but yet they get in and they forget who they serve. They serve mankind. They serve people. They're not. We didn't hire them to be rock stars. We didn't hire them to be movie stars. See, they came to us and asked us for a job. I'm upset with the Black Caucus, if you want to know the truth, because the Black Caucus hadn't stood up and said not one word the Black Caucus has said in terms of what's going on as a unified body, not one word. And yet they want us to go and to vote for them and keep putting them back there for what? Well, who have people that don't do the job? Don't do
Maxine Waters stayed in office all these years, and we took a bunch of preachers to Washington D.C. Did we not, Bishop? And they stood outside her car. They wanted to meet her and congratulate her, and they stood there for almost 30 minutes waiting for her to get out of the car. And she got out of the car. She walked right past and didn't speak to him. It was not COVID. It was no reason. They just wanted to just tell her that they admired her. But she didn't care about them. I'm telling you, Mr. Smith goes to Washington. But there's something happens. I mean, Sister Jasmine Crockett, who's a firebrand, but they say she treats her staff like slaves. Treats them, and so we got this rock star mentality, and there is a curse in Washington. So you got to get into Washington, but you can't stay there. You got to get into Washington, do the business, get back to the people. Get in Washington, do the business, get back, so that you can stay with the grassroots. If you stay in that celebrity culture, it'll put you on Bill Maher. It'll put you on CNN and MSNBC. And next thing you know, you'll be looking back and you'll forget what you were there for, what to do, because you've gotten disconnected from the people. You can pay lip service to it and sound good, but you don't give a damn about the people, and you know it. And that's what's going on. And we're in a time right now. We're in a time right now. Rubber's ready to hit the road as the voting rights act and all this. The rubber's about to hit the road right now.
The rubber gonna hit the road, because some of them who have been there and have been in those seats all this long that have not done anything, they're finna lose their seats, lose their position, and then to run point, they gotta come back home to us and give us some more lip service. What did you do? Did you feed the hungry? Did you close the naked? Did you visit them in jail? Stay connected to the people, and the people will stay connected to you. This ain't been nothing but straight talk with yours truly, Greg Fan, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. John and Ronald Allen. And welcome back, Shannon. Welcome back. Ron, thank you so much always for your insightful information, and how you are really a student of history and sharing historical data with us. Thank you so very much. Power to the people, power to the people. And if the people united shall never ever what? Be defeated.
Be defeated.
A million man march along with a million women can change.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fan at FANN922 at Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shannon Jones and Greg Fan, the Preacher Man.